There's a story that gets told about the plants we're covering today. It goes like this. Big agriculture buried these vegetables on purpose because they were too easy and too free, and somebody quietly pulled them from the seed catalogs to keep you dependent. It's a good story. It's just not really true. The honest reason most of these fell out of mainstream gardening is a lot less dramatic than a cover-up. Some of them are only worth eating for a few weeks in spring. Some taste far better cooked than raw. Some don't ship and don't store, which matters a great deal to a supermarket and not at all to you and me. And a few of them will happily take over your entire yard if you turn your back. That's not a conspiracy. Those are trade-offs. And once you understand the trade-offs, this whole group of plants opens up as some of the lowest effort food you can grow. So today I want to walk you through 20 of them, most of which you probably think of as weeds, and I want to do it honestly. I'll tell you where each one shines, and I'll also tell you the catch, because nearly every plant on this list has one. But before we touch a single plant, I need to give you the one rule that makes everything else safe, and I mean genuinely safe. Here it is. Never eat a wild plant unless you are certain what it is. Not fairly sure, certain. A couple of the plants on today's list have lookalikes that can seriously hurt you, and one of them can kill you. I'll flag those clearly when we get there. If you're new to this, the smartest thing you can do is get a good regional foraging guide, or better still, have someone who already knows the plants show you the first time. With that understood, let's begin. Number 1 is purslane. Most gardeners already know this plant. They just think it's a weed. It's a low, sprawling succulent with thick, paddle-shaped leaves, and it turns up in heat, in gravel, in the cracks of a driveway. Purslane is one of the better plant sources of omega-3 fats you'll find in a leafy green, and the leaves, stems, and seeds are all edible, mild, and slightly tart. Here's the catch, and it's an important one. Purslane has a lookalike called spotted spurge, which is toxic. The way you tell them apart is simple and reliable. Snap a stem. Purslane is fat and succulent with clear, watery sap. Spurge has thin, wiry stems that ooze a milky white sap. Milky sap means leave it alone. One more small note. Purslane is in the same boat as spinach when it comes to oxalic acid. So if you're eating a lot of it, cooking helps. And anyone with a history of kidney stones should go easy. Number 2 is lamb's quarters, sometimes called wild spinach. This is another one most people pull and toss without realizing it's one of the more nutritious greens around. It's in the same family as spinach and quinoa, and it tastes remarkably like spinach, especially cooked. Harvest it young, before it gets tall and flowers. The catch is that same family oxalic acid again, so cook it rather than living on it raw, and go easy if kidney stones are a concern. And because it readily takes up nitrogen from the soil, harvest it from clean ground, not the edge of a road or a heavily treated lawn. Number 3 is the dandelion, the most cursed plant in suburban America, and every part of it is edible. The greens are genuinely nutritious, with good calcium, iron, and vitamins, and the roasted root makes a coffee-like drink with no caffeine. You'll hear dandelion sold as a liver tonic or a detox, and I'd gently pump the brakes there. That's traditional use, and the solid evidence behind it is thin. As food, though, it's excellent. Pick the leaves young, before the plant flowers, because once it blooms they turn bitter, though cooking tames that. Number 4 is good King Henry, a perennial green that was once common in European cottage gardens. Plant it once, and it gives you spinach-like leaves and thin, asparagus-like spring shoots for years. It didn't vanish because of any industry plot. It faded because the shoots are fiddly and thin, the leaves are merely fine, and better perennial greens came along. But for a forgotten corner where you want something that returns on its own, it earns its place. Same family, same oxalate note. Cook it and enjoy it in moderation. Number 5 is chickweed, a delicate, low, cool season plant with a mild, pleasant flavor that's lovely raw in spring and fall. It sprawls into soft mats, and the whole tender top is edible. The catch is identification. Chickweed has a couple of lookalikes, including scarlet pimpernel, which is mildly toxic. 2 features help you confirm real chickweed. There's a single line of tiny hairs running along one side of the stem that switches sides at each pair of leaves, and if you gently pull a stem apart, there's a stretchy inner core. Learn those two things before you trust it. Number 6 is stinging nettle, and yes, it stings, but cook it, dry it, or blend it, and the sting vanishes completely, leaving a rich, mineral-heavy green that many people love and a tea that's popular the world over. Harvest the young spring shoots with gloves. The real catch with nettle isn't growing it, it's stopping it. It spreads underground and it spreads with enthusiasm, so plant it somewhere you can keep it contained. Number 7 is the Jerusalem artichoke, also called the sunchoke, a tall sunflower relative that produces knobby, nutty tubers underground. One tuber becomes a towering plant and a pile of new tubers by fall. Two catches here. First, it's aggressive. Any scrap of tuber left in the ground regrows, so give it a dedicated bed. Second, and this is the one nobody warns you about, the tubers are full of inulin, a fiber that many people's digestion turns into a very memorable amount of gas the first few times. Start with a small portion and let your body adjust. Number 8 is orak, sometimes called mountain spinach, a tall leafy green that comes in green, red, and gold. Its best trick is heat tolerance. When spinach and lettuce bolt and turn bitter in summer, orak keeps producing tender, mild leaves. It self-seeds, so once it's in, it tends to come back. It's a spinach relative, so the same rule applies. It's best cooked and eaten in moderation. Number 9 is wild mustard, a fast, cool season green with a peppery kick. The young leaves, the flowers, and the seeds are all usable, and it goes from seed to harvest quickly. Pick the leaves young before it flowers and turns bitter. As with any wild green, confirm your identification within the mustard family and harvest from clean soil, since these plants readily absorb what's around them. Number 10 is miner's lettuce, also called claytonia, a small, mild green with distinctive round leaves that the stem appears to pass straight through. It's named for the gold miners who ate it to stave off scurvy, because it's high in vitamin C. It actually prefers what most vegetables hate: shade, cool weather, and moist ground. For a shady corner where nothing else will grow, this is one of the easiest and lowest fuss greens on the whole list. Quick pause. If you're starting to see your yard a little differently, I'd love to know which of these you've pulled out over the years thinking it was just a weed. Leave it in the comments. Now let's keep going, because there are a few in this next stretch where the details really matter. Number 11 is borage, and here I have to correct the usual advice. Borage is a beautiful plant with blue star flowers and cucumber-scented leaves, and it's a genuinely superb bee and pollinator plant that self-seeds around the garden. But its leaves and flowers contain compounds called pyrrolizidine alkaloids, which can be hard on the liver if you eat the leaves regularly or in any quantity. So I'd treat borage mainly as a plant you grow for the bees, with the occasional flower as a pretty garnish, rather than as a salad green you eat by the handful. Grow it, love it, and mostly leave the leaves for the insects. Number 12 is broadleaf plantain, the flat rosette weed with oval, strongly ribbed leaves that grows in every lawn and sidewalk crack. The young leaves are edible, better small and cooked, since older ones get stringy, and the seeds are related to psyllium, the fiber supplement. You'll hear that a crushed leaf soothes a bug bite or a sting, and that's a long folk tradition. The evidence is limited, so I'd call it worth knowing rather than proven. What's certain is that it's tough, harmless, and everywhere. Number 13 is wood sorrel, a small plant with heart-shaped leaves and a bright, lemony flavor. Kids love nibbling it, but that lemon taste is oxalic acid, so this one is a garnish or a trailside nibble, not something you eat by the bowlful. And again, easy does it if you're prone to kidney stones. People confuse it with clover, so remember, clover leaves are oval, wood sorrels are heart-shaped, and it carries little yellow or pink flowers. Number 14 is amaranth, a tall, striking plant that shrugs off heat and drought and gives you both leaves and seeds. The young leaves cook up like a mild spinach, and the tiny seeds are nutritious and high in protein, cooked like a grain. It has a deep history across the Americas, grown for thousands of years, and it earned that place honestly. The leaves, like our other greens, carry oxalates and can take up nitrates from rich soil, so cook them and harvest from clean ground. Number 15 is wild fennel, and this is the one I need you to slow down for, because it's the only plant on this list where a mistake can be fatal. Fennel is feathery, tall, drought-hardy, and tastes of licorice, and every part is usable. The problem is that it has a deadly look-alike, poison hemlock. They're in the same family, they both have fine, feathery foliage, and they grow in the same rough places. Here's how you stay safe. Crush the foliage. True fennel smells strongly and sweetly of licorice or anise. Poison hemlock smells musty and unpleasant, and its smooth, hairless stem is often streaked or blotched with purple. If it doesn't smell like licorice, or if you see any purple mottling on the stem, do not put it anywhere near your mouth. When there's any doubt at all, you walk away. I'd rather you skip fennel entirely than guess. Number 16 is garlic mustard, and I'll be straight with you about this one. The leaves genuinely taste of garlic and mustard and make a fine pesto or sautéed green, picked young. But across much of North America, garlic mustard is a serious invasive that chokes out native woodland plants. So harvesting it hard is actually a small act of stewardship, and for that exact same reason, please never deliberately plant it. Take it where it's already growing, and take a lot. Number 17 is clover, both white and red. The nitrogen-fixing plant carpeting lawns everywhere. The flowers are sweet and dry nicely for tea, and the leaves are edible, better lightly cooked. As a living ground cover, it feeds your soil and your pollinators at once. In moderation, though, is the phrase to remember. A lot of raw clover can cause bloating, and red clover contains plant estrogens, so anyone pregnant or on hormone-sensitive medication should go easy. The old tea remedies are tradition more than proven medicine. Number 18 is wild violets, the low, heart-leaved plants with purple or white flowers. Both leaves and flowers are edible, high in vitamin C, and lovely fresh on a plate or candied for a dessert. They spread into cheerful mats in shade and ask nothing of you. One clarification, since the name causes confusion, this means true wild violets, the viola species. The houseplant called African violet is a completely different plant and is not edible. Number 19 is mallow, nicknamed cheeses for its little round seed pods that look like tiny wheels of cheese. The round, scalloped leaves are mild and slightly slippery, and that slipperiness makes them a natural thickener for soups. It's widespread, tough, and undemanding, with a long history of use as a gentle, soothing food. Number 20 is shepherd's purse, a small mustard family plant you'll know by its heart-shaped seed pods. The young leaves taste like mild cabbage with a peppery edge, best picked before it flowers. One caution worth stating plainly, shepherd's purse is traditionally avoided during pregnancy because of its effect on circulation, so if that applies to you, skip it. Otherwise it self-seeds freely and comes back on its own. Now, I promised you the pattern that ties all of these together, and it's the genuinely useful takeaway. Nearly every plant on this list is what botanists call a pioneer or a disturbance plant. In nature, whenever ground gets bared and broken open by a flood, a landslide, an animal digging, these are the plants that rush in first. They germinate fast, grow fast, and set seed fast before conditions change. And here's the quiet joke of gardening. We disturb soil constantly. We dig, we till, we weed. We create exactly the open ground these plants evolved to colonize, and then we spend the season fighting the ones that show up. The low-effort move is to stop fighting the edible ones. Pick a corner, disturb it once, and let the useful plants move in on their own terms. But I want to close the loop honestly, because that same vigor is the reason several of these can become a problem. The plant that thrives on neglect is often the plant that won't leave. So before you deliberately introduce any of these, check whether it's considered invasive where you live, and lean hardest on the ones that already turn up in your yard uninvited. Those are the true free lunch. So if you take one affordable thing away from today, let it be this, and it costs you nothing. This week, don't plant anything at all. Just walk your yard with a good identification guide or a plant app, and positively identify one single plant you've been pulling out. Confirm what it is, confirm it isn't one of the lookalikes we talked about, and the next time it comes up, harvest a little of it instead of yanking it. That's free food and one less chore. And it's the honest heart of gardening the lazy way, working with what already wants to grow instead of against it. Thanks for spending this time with me. Go get to know one weed this week, and I'll see you next time.